Welcome to another Roundabout Wimbledon. We're here with Bjorn Hellberg from Sweden. Bjorn, how many Wimbledons?
52 actually. I was lucky enough to see the last amateur in 1967. And the first match I saw on the center court, the title holder, Manuel Santana of Spain, lost to Charlie Pasarell. That was the very first match I saw at Wimbledon. And I have been lucky also. I have been in good health, so I never missed one day in 52 years of Wimbledon. Every day I have been here.
Well, we're going to talk about tennis, but first, Bjorn, I believe, has written 62 books, 25 about tennis, and you have a new book coming out soon.
A biography, yes, coming in 2 weeks' time.
So is it every single secret about Bjorn Hellberg?
Almost. Maybe I hide a few things.
Bjorn, I guess obviously the most, you came in 67 before Bjorn Borg,
Yes.
who won the French Open for the first time in 74 and Wimbledon here in 76. What was tennis like in Sweden before Bjorn Borg?
We had quite a few good players. In 1958, the Swedish pair of Sven Davidsson and Ulf Schmidt won the doubles at Wimbledon, unseeded. And they played in the final. They played the single finalists, Ashley Cooper and Neil Fraser. But on that time, the singles was played before the doubles on the Friday.
Wow.
So the Swedish team beat the Australian team. And Sven Davidsson also had won one title in singles, Roland Garros 1957.
Right, yeah.
So we had a few good players before.
And when did you first learn or become acquainted at all with Bjorn Borg?
It was in 1971. I made my first interview with him, and I remember it very clearly. It was in the Royal Hall at Stockholm, where we played the Stockholm Open, many Davis Cup matches. I made an interview with him, and one of the questions to him, he was 15 years, 15. I put this question to him: will you ever win Wimbledon? He answered with only one word: yes. So he was very focused.
And what do you think was Bjorn's greatest quality? Of course, he won 6 French Opens and 5 Wimbledons in a row. How do you think he did it? What was it about Bjorn that made him such a great champion?
Very, very good footwork. He was very fast, he had stamina and very cold nerves. He was not a natural player, I would say. His volley was not that good, but he very solid, very solid. It was almost impossible to take him in the long rallies. I've seen matches with Guillermo Vilas. They played for almost 3 hours, and still Borg only dropped 5 games. So he was steady, he was stubborn, and he had power, willpower. Excellent.
And we know why he won the French Open in some ways, because he was very, very consistent. He was a phenomenal athlete, as you could say. He could run all day. But how do you think he won Wimbledon? Because in those days, people thought it had to be somebody who was a serve volleyer, somebody who came to the net. How did he do it?
I think his serve was good. He had no volley to talk about. But compared with Connors, when they played each other at the end of their careers, Borg won every match at the end. It was quite the opposite at the beginning, of course, but it was the main factor was Borg served better. So he had a better serve than many imagines, and also he was so fast. He was as fast behind the baseline as Roy Emerson was fast at the net with his volley. So I think he was one of the quickest players I have ever seen.
Now, I'm sure a lot of people ask you this, but Bjorn won the French Open 6 times, was virtually unbeatable there. Rafael Nadal has been a master of the French Open. I know it's impossible to compare the two of them, but say they played each other when they were both in their primes. What do you think would happen?
I think a slight advantage for the Spaniard. I think Nadal, I think he had won it. And if Borg played Nadal on grass, it would be touch and go, I would say. I don't think he could beat Federer more than maybe 3 times out of 10 on grass or hard court. Hard court was not Borg's best surface. For instance, he never won a US Open. He tried 10 times and he lost, but he went to 4 finals. But then I played with different surfaces for a while also.
He had some bad luck though. In 1977, I think he probably would have won because it was on clay,
He
and he hurt it.
Stockton.
But he hurt his shoulder, I
Yes,
think.
yes,
That's right.
that's true.
So-
That maybe he could have.
Right.
Oh.
And after Bjorn, of course, Mats Wilander came along. What was your relationship with Mats like, and what do you think about Mats as a player?
Mats is a wonderful person and a great player. He was the first player to win 4 Grand Slams in singles before his 21st birthday. Wilander was also the first player to achieve Grand Slam titles on 3 different surfaces. Antuca, as they play in Paris, grass, he won it in Australian, 83, 84, and then also, of course, on hardcourt when he won the US Open, and Australian once on hardcourt. So he was a very versatile player, smart brain, and he could change his game during the years. Borg was playing the same all the time. The same. He had one game, and he was wonderful on that game. But Wilander, he never sliced the backhand at the beginning of his. He had a double, but then he improved also his volley. He's a very good player.
And Stefan Edberg obviously was a great champion too. I'm sure you had a good relationship with Stefan. Everybody got along with him. They named the Sportsmanship Award after him.
That's very fair to say. He's one of the sportsliest, most sporting player I've seen. Beautiful man in every department, I would say. Such a grace. And his serve and volley game is magnificent. It was to watch him. I feel sorry for him that he didn't win Paris. He had a good chance against Michael Chang, 89 final. Edberg was leading that final 2-1, and then they broke each other at the beginning of the 4th set. But from 1-1, Edberg had 11 break points. He couldn't capitalize on any of them. When Chang got his first break point, he took it. And then Edberg ran out of stamina and lost heavily in the 5th set. But Edberg, Wilander and Borg, Sweden had three first-rated players, ranked players, out of the first 8. When the computer was introduced in 75. After that, so 3 Swedish players were on top.
So this is a hard question to ask, but there's so few, the last 4, 5, 6 years, so few good Swedish tennis players after having just a train of one after another. Is it possible to explain it in any way?
I had to make a comeback, I feel, but on the court. But there is one point I will point out. Our best player, ranked player now, his name is Elias Ymer. Good player, but never been in the top 100. If he had been on his current world ranking today and have been competing on that ranking in the 80s, he wouldn't have been in the top 16 players of Sweden.
Top 16?
Not top 16. So, no, I can't explain it. I tried to analyze it, but I have no explanation at all. We have a club system, in Sweden, a lot of clubs. And every club, at least the big and the middle bigs, they have good instructors, good coaches, but still we can't get anything.
And I guess I have to ask you this question. The Borg McEnroe movie, did you see it and what did you think?
It's very ambitious. I saw it. I liked it in a way. The man who created Borg is very similar looking to him. It's fantastic.
Amazing how much the character playing Borg, the actor playing Borg, looks like Borg.
There was there was one thing who was not very good. There was the description of Lennart Bergelin. He was easygoing man with a sense of humor, but in this film, he strict and very analytic. He was not. So his wife, his widow, Bergelin's widow, pointed that out. And the man who created the Bergelin, he made an excuse of it.
Oh, he did.
I should have prepared myself for what kind of character it was. Apart from that, I think it was an interesting movie, ambitious, and a lot of interesting points in it.
Leonard Berglund, of course, was Bjorn's coach. But
Yeah.
how hard is it to see a movie like that when you have lived through that era and been very close to it all?
Yeah, it's funny you asked because I felt nervous when I saw the match. I know who was going to win, but still I felt the heart was bumping. I feel privileged to be in that era, to see that match. Now, if you compare the Borg-McEnroe Epic 80 with the match between Nadal and Federer 28. So Borg and McEnroe was not the same quality, to be honest. But the match with Nadal Federer, beautiful. Every point was good. So it was not that well played, but it was so exciting, so dramatic. So it's a great privilege to experience such an encounter.
Bjorn Hellberg, thank you very much for being with us today. That's it for another Roundabout Wimbledon.